Welcome back to the All Saints Monastery in our discussions with David Goa about an upcoming article that's going to be released called The Bible and the Land of Shades. This is part 2 of our discussion, and the way we left off last time, you had us exploring the idea of how it is we see Christ in these Old Testament texts, both as a revelation of humanity and a revelation of God, but also the misunderstandings. And I want you to bring clarity to that, because I feel muddled in myself about it at this point. There's something you were saying in our previous video about how not all of these texts are a revelation of God, but they're more about our ideas of God and our ideas of ourselves that are inadequate. Maybe you could start us out.
If God is the God of life, and if there is no death in God, there is no shadow of turning, as it says in the text, then any time we see death dealing in the revelation, in scriptural narratives, or any time we see a call to kill or to destroy, my argument is, we are seeing a revelation of human appetite. We are seeing it is a revelation about the misunderstanding of God. Now, if we look at the whole history of religions, we see that religious traditions are full of concerns to propitiate deities. That is, the understanding that there's these sacred realities and they have to be propitiated in some form or another. And of course, in the ancient world, in the biblical world, if we look at the whole cult around Baal, the enormous blood sacrifices that occurred. Well, these occur because human beings are desperate to find some way to resolve those things that are in their heart and in their mind. So my point is a simple one. Very simple one. Since we have the Gospels, which it seems to me are a midrash on Genesis 3, they are telling us again what it means to be a human being and what the fullness of God is. And what we see there is the rabbi meeting people, being present to them in a way that makes it possible for them to speak their heart, and blessing them and healing them. That's a revelation of the human nature. That is what we are capable of. That is our natural condition, which we have moved away from. We have replaced with ambition, we've replaced with various kinds of moralism and what have you. So, when we look at those hard texts, I am saying that if we take the Joshua text again, what we see here is Joshua with all of his appetite to have land and to settle. And he thinks he has to do that by the destruction of others who God created. Others who are also the image of God. But he cannot accept them as the image of God and kill them. You know, Emmanuel Levinas says, you cannot kill a human being whose face you have seen. I think that's true. I think you have to turn a person into a symbol to kill them. So you turn them into a symbol of decadence, evil, paganism, this, that, or the other thing, and then you can destroy them. But that is a problem in your mind. That is a mental and spiritual illness. So the revelation in those hard texts is a revelation, it's an outing, if you will, of the human passions, what's in the heart. And where is Christ in it? Where is Jesus Christ in it? He's in the suffering human being. He's in the suffering that's manifest here in the heart and mind that has that appetite and is struggling with it. But God knows. He's being crucified and the one who's being killed.
He's being crucified and the one who's being killed. And so one of the expressions that I saw in your article was this idea that in those texts, in the very texts where sometimes even a shallow Christian read would rejoice in the triumphalism, what in fact is happening is you're seeing the passion of the Christ in those who are suffering. Is that what you're saying?
That's right. The triumphalism is so curious. There's a wonderful story I like so much. I think I tell it in the paper as well, which comes from Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Hillel, pardon me. And Rabbi Hillel was probably a contemporary of Jesus' earthly father, a bit older than Mary, than the Theotokos, the Holy Virgin Mary. But a great rabbi. And Hillel has many students. And one of the students, he's been studying the Shema, the great creedal prayer, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And comes to Rabbi Hillel and says to him, Rabbi, why does it say in the text, we must lay these words upon our heart? And the rabbi says to him, well, clearly that's what the Hebrew says, lay it upon your heart. In English translations of it, it often says place them in your heart. And that's what the student says. Why doesn't it say place it in your heart? So our English translations have often assumed that. But Hillel says, oh no, we must lay it upon our heart, because that is all we can do. And the student ponders this in the retelling we have of it. The student is pondering this and realizing that laying these words, these extraordinary sort of words that mean so much about the human struggle for meaning, that this has something to do with his very being. And so there's a long silence, and the student is about to speak again, and then Rabbi Hillel says to him, we can only lay these words upon our heart until one day our heart breaks and the words fall in. So I say, read the Joshua text the way in which I think Jesus must have read it, with tears in his eyes, weeping. What have we misunderstood? Read those texts the way you imagine Jesus reading those texts. And I think there will be no triumphalism. And we will be much more inclined to do what Jesus did, which is pull life from death, not give death to life.
I mean,